Hello. Well, we've been waiting for this news to be made official. It seemingly was going to be the case for, I don't know, it's been a couple of weeks now that it's been likely or at least seemingly possible. And now it has officially happened. The Golden Knights have not signed because it's a PTO, professional tryout, but they have brought Carter Hart in to be part of the organization. The reason it's not signed, I don't know what the PTO or the difference is. Cassidy didn't even fully know either. We know he's able to practice, or at least they think he can practice legal or by rule of the NHL. He's allowed to practice. By the PTO, we will see whether he can go on the road. All of that doesn't really make a difference. Here's my thoughts. I wanted to kind of come on here because I do feel as though I have I don't know that everyone's taken the time to read through the entire verdict to kind of try and take in as much as they can. Obviously, not everyone was in the room when Carter Hart was speaking. I was not too long ago. Jack Eichel spoke, Mark Stone spoke, Cassidy spoke about it. I've been around all of it. I wanted to be kind of patient to make sure that I gathered as much information as I could about this. I didn't want to come out and have some over the top outlandish opinion that I would then suddenly not believe 5 minutes later. I don't think that's going to happen. I think where what I'm about to say right now is pretty much where I'm going to land for a while, I would assume. And I don't think that it's like something that just came out of thin air. I will say I read the 91-page verdict, so I have a very clear understanding of what occurred in that trial, and that's where I want to start on Carter Hart himself before we get to the Golden Knights. The trial is very public. There was a lot of media coverage on it. There's a lot of reporting about it. I think a lot of things got kind of picked up and grabbed and made into something bigger than maybe they were. Now, some of it is legitimate, and I will talk about that in a second. Other pieces of it kind of got misconstrued in a way. I will tell you this. If you read the 91-page trial, and a lot of it, it's like testimony from the accuser, testimony from the defendants. There's a lot of like legal jargon in there explaining what the standard is to charge someone with sexual assault. There's a lot of that. So it's not the easiest thing to read. However, I will say a lot of it is actually pretty much just what occurred, or at least what she said occurred, what the defendant said occurred, what other witnesses, including Brett Howden, said occurred. It's all kind of there. When you look through all of it and you read what Justice Caracia, I'm trying to get that right, Caracia said, it became pretty clear, at least reading it, and I think that everyone in the courtroom agreed with this from what I have read, that these men were probably not going to be found guilty of the charge. There are many different reasons for that. There are inconsistencies. There are issues with when her fear began. There are issues with how she's said to have processed things. I don't want to get into all of that, and I'm not here to be the one who's the jury of this. Now, by the way, there were two juries. Both of them were thrown out, one of which was thrown out because they claimed they were being made fun of by the defense attorneys. That one you can kind of land on however you want to feel about the Canadian justice system. Judicial system is what I was trying to say there. That's on you. I will say this. I wasn't there. All I can do is read what was said, and I feel like it seemed fair enough, at least from what I read, that I think you have to accept it. I am going to accept what the judge came down with, and what the judge came down with was that they are not guilty. Thus, to me, when you look at Carter Hart and you understand what occurred in that trial, I think it's kind of ridiculous, absurd. I would even say, I think it's crazy that he would no longer be able to continue in whatever profession he is in. Now, obviously, the NHL is a much different profession than what any other one is. However, I think it's crazy that he would not be able to continue. So for me, allowing him back into the NHL seems perfectly reasonable and fair. I don't think that someone who has gone through what he has gone through in regards to being acquitted, being on this trial, what occurred that night, all of it, I don't think that that should preclude him from playing in the NHL the rest of his life. Seems unfair. The suspension, That one we can kind of determine how we feel on that one. The NHL, I'm going to read from some notes on here because I think it's impossible for me to remember everything of what was said here. The NHL said, in relying on both our investigation and the conclusions reached by Justice Caracia in her opinion and the player's acquittal, the league has determined that the conduct at issue falls woefully short of the standards and values that the league and its member clubs expect and demand. So with that, they say, based on their own investigation and what was found in the trial, that what happened was woefully short. Thus, they have suspended him. It officially goes down as like a 2.5 whatever month suspension, 1.5 month suspension. He's not eligible to play until December 1st. He was effectively kicked off the team. All 5 of them were. They weren't able to play through the trial. It's effectively been a 2-year suspension. To me, that seems like a lot. And even giving him the 6 weeks, but I understand you got to get him back in. All right. Okay. So from the league perspective, they say we've levied the suspension because this conduct has occurred. Now we're going to allow him back in. Again, seems perfectly fair to me. Can't end his career. Doesn't seem right to do that. Does he deserve some sort of punishment for it? Other players deserve some sort of punishment. Also seems fair. None of that I have any issue with. So really, my issue in this situation, very minimally, is on Carter Hart. We will get to some of the things and how he represents the Golden Knights and all of that. But from a simple perspective of that, meaning he was acquitted, the league suspended him. He has served that suspension, or will, up until December 1st. It's hard to go after Carter Hart for having a second opportunity. And I don't even know that it's a second opportunity. It was just like his career was stopped and now it's picking back up. So it's not even really like a second chance. It's just that's what occurred. He moves on. We go forward, right? Here's where it gets into now the Golden Knights have signed him. Here's where all of a sudden things shift a little bit for me, having been around the Golden Knights for as long as I've been around, literally since the beginning, well before they even started. Any team can give Carter Hart a second chance. They could do it with Michael McLeod. They could do it with any of the other players that were involved. They are allowed to do that according to the league. Any team is allowed to do that. In my opinion, the Golden Knights have made it abundantly clear over the course of 9 seasons and well before their first season that one of the most important fundamental things about their organization is character. During the expansion draft, George McPhee would over and over and over again tell us that the most important thing in what we're doing in picking these players is finding good people. That's what we care about. Hockey skill will take care of itself. Arguably weren't trying to build a cup-contending, cup-winning team at the time. We want good people. That has not changed. I understand that there hasn't been as many of those quotes in front of our faces as there were back in the day, because that's the only person who was a part of the organization at the time. George McPhee had to speak because he was the only one doing it at that time. Now we have players, we have coaches, we have all sorts of different things. We don't hear from the front office as often. Also, Kelly McCrimmon decided to not speak today on the day that they have brought Carter Hart into the organization. Thus, we do not have any information from him. I'm not so sure that was the best decision. That's the decision that they make. I would have liked to have heard what he had said. But recently, I do have quotes from Kelly McCrimmon recently that further say this. I will give you one from April 14th, 2025. This was on the VGK Insider Show. Kelly said, "We've always built our team around the right people. Character matters here." At year-end media availability after they had lost in Game 7 to Dallas, so this is prior to the summer prior to drafting Trevor Connolly, he said, "When we evaluate players, we look at compete, leadership, and character. Those are non-negotiables in Vegas." That was May 9th, 2024. So these statements have been said and have been a part of what they have been saying recently. It has never changed. And there's one in particular that jumps out to me beyond anything else. And it's been kind of everywhere at different times. I will just read it directly because this is how it's presented. Here we go. The knight is the epitome of the warrior class. Knights protect those who cannot protect themselves. As Vegas Golden Knights, we never give up, never give in, always advance, never retreat. That is so much so said, and I have to move my computer, that on this Stanley Cup Champions box that they gave out to Stanley Cup to all the fans, it is written right there. That's it. That's what I just read. This is a statement that is all over the place. It is in both, I believe, both locker rooms, or at least somewhere around both locker rooms at City National Arena and T-Mobile. It has been used in many of their marketing materials. It has been used on a lot of different things that have been said about the organization. I can go as far as even telling you that at one point there were police cars that have the Golden Knights logo on them that say, "Protect the unprotected," quote, Bill Foley, on the police car. Even more so, the helmet design itself was described as the helmet is on top of a shield because the helmet is the protector, the shield is of the unprotected. That is how it was described. That was described in an ESPN article after the Golden Knights won the cup about the branding and all of this about the team. They have made it very clear that a Golden Knight, to be a Golden Knight, you are the protector of the unprotected. I will continue using that as much as we will continue using the phrase core values that I will read their statement when they signed Carter Hart soon. I do not believe that the conduct that occurred and what was described in that judgment is of a person who is protecting the unprotected. I don't feel that that is the case. Thus, to me, that goes against what they are saying their organization is all about. Now, they also put out this statement when they signed the player. Let me find it here. We find the Golden Knights. When the Golden Knights signed Carter Hart today, the statement was as follows. Here we go. Following the reinstatement decision agreed on by the National Hockey League and the National Hockey Players Association, goaltender Carter Hart will be joining the Vegas Golden Knights organization. The Golden Knights are aligned with the process and assessment the NHL and NHLPA made in their decision. We remain committed to the core values that have defined our organization from its inception, and expect that our players will continue to meet these standards moving forward. Thus, they are saying that Carter Hart will continue to meet the core values of the Golden Knights going forward. I think it's fair, and there is an argument to say that you are not a Golden Knight until you are a Golden Knight. You are not expected to protect the unprotected until you become a Golden Knight. If that is a way to look at this, and that can be construed as fair, I don't look at it that way. I've been told over and over and over again that it is non-negotiable, that you must have great character and great leadership to be a part of this organization. So that just does not line up. Instead, what I believe the Golden Knights have been doing, and they have shown this over the course of their actions, is when that fits, they will continue to use that. But the most important core value of the Vegas Golden Knights is winning. That is what matters more than anything else. Making money is in there as well. Winning often does make you money, but winning is what matters. If we can do something that will make this team slightly better, we will do it. If it fits inside of other things that make us look good, that make us connected to the community, as has happened in the past, we will utilize them in that moment. When they don't, we will put out a statement when we sign this particular player. I think the statement in and of itself indicates they're pretty sure, or at least well aware, we might not, this probably maybe isn't something we should be doing. They never put out this statement for any other player. I can't think of one like this ever before. Never seen something like this before. So to me, putting this out indicates they're well aware of what they're doing. Obviously, they're well aware of what they're doing, but they are well aware. The core values of the organization are stated as being protector of the unprotected, never give up, never give in, whatever, all of the other things that I've said, the epitome of the warrior class. There's a West Point portion of all of it. All of that are what is supposed to be the core values. Carter Hart, in reality, based on what has occurred, does not uphold those values when he becomes a member of the Golden Knights. Will he uphold them moving forward? That is to be seen. The same can probably be said about Trevor Connolly when he was drafted. The same can be said about other players. There's one in particular. We'll leave that out of it for now. As we move forward, they can make their decision of how are the players representing their organization from here on forward. And I still have full trust that if Carter Hart makes a mistake, if Trevor Connolly makes a mistake, if anyone else does something that is so unsavory to the organization, I truly believe that player will be gone. I do not think they will keep that player around. I don't buy it. So I do think that the core values of the organization are still there. They are still trying to uphold it. However, if someone can make the team slightly better, we will look the other way at what has occurred before to allow that player to come in to potentially make us better. That is one of the things I want to talk about some of the players and coach talking about today. There were two players that talked. It was Mark Stone, the captain, and Jack Eichel, an alternate captain, and then the head coach. All of them mentioned him being a good goalie. In reality, if we're talking simply about core values, that shouldn't matter. Years ago, when we were trying to figure out who's going to be on the expansion draft, that didn't really matter. So that kind of doesn't align with what has occurred. Bruce Cassidy came out and said as straightforward as possible, we think this might make us better. I think they believe Carter Hart has a good chance of being an upgrade on Akira Schmid, and there's an outside chance he's an upgrade on Aiden Hill. That's why the move was made. The blowback aside, we'll figure that out. We will deal with that. There have been other things that have occurred, which I think were mistakes potentially, one of which, Mark Lazarus being thrown out of the practice facility for asking questions about Carter Hart. That was like 2 weeks ago. I'm not even sure it was fully 2 weeks ago. That probably should not have happened. I think looking back, that looks like a mistake. Probably should have just allowed the questions to be answered. Bruce Cassidy ended up answering the questions today. Doesn't really look good, but it does say something about how they viewed how they're going to deal with this situation. Then the situation occurs, and now they have to deal with it as professionally as they can. I don't particularly think that the tweet saying he's part of the organization, we expect him to uphold the core values, I don't know that that's the best way to handle it, simply because it's an admission that we should not be doing this. It's very clearly saying, we know that this isn't good. And there are things out there. There is a petition that is 2,000 people deep saying, do not sign Carter Hart. There are people in my Discord, in my mentions. There are people that I read otherwise on Twitter or on Facebook groups or wherever that are saying, I'm not a fan of the Golden Knights anymore. I'm canceling my season tickets. I'm going to ask as we move forward, did anyone actually cancel their season tickets? I'm interested to find out if that actually occurs. They knew that there would be blowback from this. They proved that they knew that there was going to be blowback by how they presented that signing when it occurred. To me, it's the connection to the community that's a bit of the issue here. If they simply would come out and say, we will do anything to make our team better that is inside of the rules of the NHL. That's what the actions have been for a long time here. We're talking about LTIR. We're talking about trade reverted, all of those types of things. Like, they will do it. They will do paper transactions. They will do double holding salary in trades. They will do all of these different things because they're inside of the rules. It is absolutely 100% inside of the rules for the Golden Knights to sign Carter Hart. That is not against the rules at all. And again, as I said earlier on the video, I don't have a problem with Carter Hart getting another opportunity to play in the NHL. I really do not. So it's the issue for me is that you're constantly putting forward this style and this statement. We believe in character. We believe in leadership. We want people who represent the Golden Knights. And to then put it in that statement just does not fly or just does not sit well with me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think the Golden Knights made a massive mistake re-signing Carter or signing Carter Hart. I'm not. I don't think that's the case. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think that I'm hoping Carter Hart fails. I do not hope that Carter Hart fails. I'm not saying that this is some crazy over the top thing that deserves canceled tickets or hating the team or anything of that sort. Everyone can have their own opinion. For me, I don't think it rises to that level. But I do believe that it is a misstep on what they've been saying over the course of 9 seasons. That this was something that they utilized to connect themselves to the community. They utilized, we bring in good people. We're going to have good character people that are going to help in this community. And Carter Hart may eventually end up becoming that. That is what we're all hoping at this point moving forward. But to then be the ones who say we're going to be the ones to do this. We're the only one to sign one of the 5 players, and we're doing it less than 24 hours after he's available to do it. I think they might have, it's been done. The moment it was available, they did it, even though there is a little bit of time lag. They didn't wait. We're going to be the ones that are going to do it. They did the same thing when they drafted Trevor Connolly. He dipped in the draft because there were some issues with character. They said, well, this is an opportunity to do it. Let's go ahead and do it. It just does not jive with the entire ethos of the organization, with the core values that you are placing forward. The core values of the Golden Knights are win at any cost that they can win at. That's what the actual core value is. That is fine. There are no problems with that. That's what almost every single fan in any sport wants their team to do. That is good for most. But when it comes to scenarios like this, it gets sticky. And when you have issues where sometimes you are saying, we want to uphold these values, and then other times you're saying, well, the values aren't that important to us as long as the values are upheld moving forward, it's very confusing from a fan perspective. That's my overall opinion of it. Do I believe the Golden Knights should have been the team to step forward and sign Carter Hart? I do not. I do not believe that they should have been that team because of all of the things that they have said in the past, because of how they presented it when they did today. I don't think they should have been that team. Now that they have become that team, I do not believe that you should no longer be a Golden Knights fan. I do not believe that you should cancel your season tickets over this. I do not believe that you should be picketing outside of City National Arena or anything of that sort. You can be upset about it. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with being upset about it. I have no problem with looking and listening to the next time the word character is brought forward and saying, I'm not sure I buy that as much. But I don't think you have to say, that's it for me. Because the fact of the matter is, the player involved was acquitted by a judge, by a justice in Canada, with a trial that, for all I could tell, again, I was not there, seemed fair. It seemed like they were doing their best. That one side was doing its best, the other side was doing its best. The judge has to decide. This is what is decided. The player himself, the situation itself, is not so bad that you have to go overboard and go to full on cancel, right? It just isn't. It just is not. But there is enough underlying to say, I don't think this should have been the team to do it. And that's basically where I come down with it. The last thing I'll say is that I had a friend reach out to me and say, like, I don't know a lot about this. Should I feel bad about being a fan of this team on this day? I don't think that's the case. I think you can say, maybe not my favorite decision, not the best thing they've ever done. I don't even think it's all that crazy if you're on that side of it to say, I don't even really want Carter Hart to ever make it through and be the backup or the starter for this team. I don't really even have that big a problem with that. I also don't have a problem with you saying it would be great if he turns into and proves himself as a great character in this organization, finds his way into being the backup, finds his way into being the starter. I have no problem with someone rooting for that as well. I don't think this should fundamentally change how you are as a Golden Knights fan. I really don't. As far as everyone else, for all the other fan bases, they're going to hate the Golden Knights anyway. There's many different reasons for it. We've been over it. Some of it's legitimate, some of it's not. Some portions of this are legitimate, some are not. Here we are again. That's why I end up doing a 25-minute video on this. That's my feeling on it. If you want to discuss it, go ahead and hop in the Discord, get on Twitter, yap at me about it. I feel like I'm as informed on this as I could possibly be. That's how I feel about it. That's all I got. See ya.